Hey guys, I thought I'd do a book review for you today. I know it's October and I said I do mostly Halloween stuff, and I've posted a couple things that are non-Halloween related, but this book I decided to review because Breaking Dawn Part 1 comes out next month, and with the big Twilight phase for era going on, like Harry Potter's done with, it's now Twilight, and vampires are kind of freaky, so yeah. The book, Breaking Dawn, the last book in the Twilight series, if you don't count The Secret Life of Bree Tanner. Before I even get into the book, I'm just going to do a short review on this copy of the book. This is the special edition. So you take the slipcover off, and the hardcover looks like this, and then the slipcover is a poster, a crappy poster, and then it comes with a CD filled with concert music that's pretty stupid. And then in the back it's got lyrics from the songs on the CD, and it has it's an interview about Stephenie Meyer. But yeah. How I got into Twilight. I'm going to tell you the story, because not very many men read Twilight. Before the first movie came out, I knew absolutely nothing about Twilight, New Moon, or Eclipse, and I think Breaking Dawn was almost about ready to come out. For all I knew, Twilight could have been, some horror movie, some horror story, or something about werewolves, or a Holocaust book. I knew nothing about it. I was in 7th grade when the first movie came out. And my English teacher was into Twilight, just like every other girl in that school. And she showed us the trailer, like the first trailer that came out, and I watched it, and it looked kind of cool. So I took one of my friends that happened to be a girl with me to see it, because she had read the books. And I left the theater thinking, I really liked the movie. I really liked the music. I liked the style of the way it was shot. I liked the acting, and I recognized Robert Pattinson from Goblet of Fire. And I left the theater really happy. And after that, I started to read New Moon. New Moon is my favorite Twilight book, by the way. It's tied between that one and Twilight. New Moon's preferably my favorite. I like how New Moon differs from Twilight a lot. It's a very different story. It gives us something out, and I could not wait for New Moon to come out. After I saw New Moon and Eclipse, I left the theater more disappointed than I have ever been in my life. Seeing Eclipse has been the worst waste of my money I have ever spent at a movie theater. And I left the theater so disappointed, because especially with Eclipse, the movie, it totally differed from the book. They took out so much stuff that I wanted to see happen in the movie. And I hated the ending of New Moon. Oh my god. But Breaking Dawn is my least favorite book in the series. Before I review this, if you're a huge Twilight fan and you happen to be offended by anything I say about the series, and just turn this video off and watch a Breaking Dawn trailer, or continue reading the stories again. Breaking Dawn is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called Bella. Part 2 is called Jacob. Part 3 is called Bella. Part 1 deals with basically the events after Eclipse, and this is a spoiler review, by the way, in case you're dumb enough to haven't read the book yet. Bella and Edward get married, and I'm on Team Edward, by the way. I think Jacob is a total prick. I hate Jacob so much. That could be another video of why I'm on Team Edward. But Edward and Bella get married, and they go on Isle Esme for their honeymoon, and they end up having fun. They end up having sex multiple times, and Bella gets pregnant with Renesmee. Well, I don't think we know the name of the baby yet at this part of the book. And then part 2 is what really destroyed the book for me. I really liked part 1 and part 3, but part 2 is like the bulk of the book, and that ruined it for me. Part 2 is basically about Jacob coping with his feelings for Bella, and the main part of Bella's pregnancy is told through Jacob's point of view. So obviously he talks a lot about, him being jealous and him loving Bella and stuff. And I hate Jacob. Jacob is just so mean towards Edward and Bella in particular. I mean, if God, he loves her, but yet he treats her like a complete dick. But then the end of part 3 is when Bella gives birth to her baby, Renesmee. And the birth part of this book is pretty graphic for something in a Twilight book. I mean, I was kind of like, oh my god, did she really just say that? I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing this stuff in the movie. Hopefully they didn't disappoint me. But then part 3, at the end of part 2, Edward injects Bella with his venom. And then part 3 picks up kind of about the last 20 pages of where part 2 was. It tells Bella's birth through her point of view. I mean, she was like almost unconscious throughout the entire birth, and she was like dying, and the venom saved her. And then part 3 is basically Bella's life as a vampire. I'm really surprised that Stephenie Meyer waited until the last book and the last part of the book for Bella to finally turn into a vampire. I really think Bella should have turned into a vampire at the end of Eclipse, or at least at the beginning of Break. But basically what happens is, they have Renesmee, and Jacob explains to Bella in the 3rd book that imprinting is like love at first sight, only stronger, and Jacob imprints on Renesmee, and that's kind of gross. And Renesmee is a half-human, half-vampire baby, and she grows at like an incredible rate, and she's only going to live to be a certain age. And what happens is the Volturi, which is literally like the king and queen, the royal vampires, hear about Renesmee, and they have to travel to Forks to see if they have to destroy Renesmee. And basically, Bella is trying to cope with that, and that's basically what part 3 is about, her worries about the Volturi coming. And the end part 3, the Volturi ends up coming to meet them, and it all goes out well. And then, Bella and Edward and Renesmee have a little cottage, and that's their house. And they ended up living happily ever after. And that's basically Breaking Dawn. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail because a lot of the details are boring and unimportant. But the bulk of Breaking Dawn is the pregnancy of Renesmee. That's basically what Breaking Dawn is. Again, this is the least favorite book in the series. For me, just a lot of the Jacob part of the book is boring, and that part, I'm like trying to think. It lasts like I think like 300 pages, and the whole book itself is over like 54 pages. So a lot of bullshit. But Breaking Dawn, I mean, I'm sorry if I couldn't go into deep detail about it, but that's Breaking Dawn. I really hope the movie lives up to its expectations. I've read a lot of reviews and interviews about the filmmakers and the screenwriters of Breaking Dawn, and they said that they're going to show like a lot of skin. It's going to be graphic, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. So that's the book review of Breaking Dawn, and rate, subscribe, leave comments, or do whatever the hell